This is Larry Jordan, the host of the Digital Production Buzz. The following interview is an excerpt from a recent program. To hear the entire program, visit digitalproductionbuzz.com. Kim Furst is an award-winning documentary film producer. She's also a director and an editor. Flying the Feathered Edge is Kim's fifth aviation documentary, and it's screening in theaters today. Hello, Kim. Welcome back.
Hi, Larry. It's great to see you.
Well, I was just thinking, this is not only the first time that we've seen each other, but it's not the first time that we've talked, because we first met you and learned about Flying the Feathered Edge in June of 2014. I looked it up. So as a recap, for people that may not have been paying attention to our June 2014 show, what is the film about?
So Flying the Feathered Edge is about Robert A. Bob Hoover. He's considered to be our greatest living aviator. He's 93 years old, and he's been a test pilot, experimental test pilot, air show pilot, World War II, prisoner of war. He is considered by many pilots to be the pilot's pilot. He's someone that they all look up to.
How did you ever connect with him?
So this is actually my fifth aviation and aerospace documentary that I've done as a film editor. This was my first as producer-director, and I was looking for something that was in my wheelhouse, something I knew and understood, and I love aviation, and I had worked on many other aviation films, so I was looking for something that I could really sink my teeth into, and that's how I found Bob's story.
Well, yeah, but there's got to be more to it than that. You're not 94. You haven't been in aviation for as long as he has. How did you track him down?
Well, that was fortunate. I had a friend make an introduction, and he knew I was looking. He knew I was searching for a topic within aviation, and I was looking for a story. And he said, Kim, let me introduce you to somebody. And so he invited me into a very coveted Bob Hoover dinner. It was like 9 or 10 very accomplished pilots and myself. And I got to be a fly on the wall and listen to Bob's stories. And by the end of that night, I was pretty certain I had a great story.
That is so cool. Well, when we talked a year and a half ago, you were in production and post. And now you're in an entirely different position. You're screening the film. Tell me what's happening now.
So we're in a really neat position because the film is done, and now we have chosen to self-distribute the film, which is a choice, and we think we made the right choice with that. We released on DVD and Blu-ray last holiday season, and we had a diehard bunch of followers by that point. We probably had about 5,000 or 6,000 people who had been following our progress over the 3 years it took to make the film. So by the time we were ready to release on, this is as a producer, we needed some finishing funds. We actually were in a position where we had couple pieces of music to pay for. We had our errors and omissions insurance. There were certain hard costs and deferred costs for people who had done stuff to, we'd pay them later. And so I was looking at a producer at, a couple of offers for distribution that frankly for documentaries weren't, was solid, but there was no upfront, there was no promise of anything. And I went, you know what? I borrowed $5,000 and we printed a whole bunch of DVDs. I put them for sale and we made all the rest of the money we needed for the film. And I kind of had one thing going while the other was going, and we, things crossed at the right time. And now we're, we haven't paid everyone back yet because, anyway, I've got so much to say about this. I'll just say in a nutshell, where we are now is we are selling the DVD. We've played all over the country. We've played at, major aviation events. We've done screenings in IMAX theaters like the National Museum of the U.S. Air Force. We played big outdoor amphitheaters like Oshkosh. We had 7,000 people at one screening in Oshkosh at the world's greatest fly-in. We signed up with a company called Tug, if anyone doesn't know about Tug. So we're playing at, AMC theaters across the country on a one-off basis. And I could tell you more about that later, which is exciting. And we just signed our agreement with a aggregator who's going to get us on iTunes And we're going to sign the paperwork so that before this holiday season, we'll be up on Amazon. But so far, we've been selling off our own website. And we've just been, getting tons of press. We've had tons of positive press, lots of quotes from really important film industry as well as aviation industry. We've got a nice, thick press book. That's where we're at.
But Kim, I don't know how to break it to you, but you had 7,000 people watching in Oshkosh. Why aren't you rich?
Well, that was free. That was promotion. Nobody paid for that one. We gave that one away. Oshkosh is kind of our spiritual home as aviators, so we wanted to give that to the people who were there at Oshkosh, and it helped spread the word. I mean, that's 7,000 people that may never buy the DVD, or they may. I mean, it's a film. A lot of people have said they want to go back and watch it because it's so dense with history and great footage, and so there's a lot of people who saw it that may buy it for gifts for people for Christmas and holidays. And
all right, but let's put your producer hat back on. One, I have no doubt that the film is spectacular because you do good work. But you also need to make your money back and pay all your people. You've been getting really good coverage. You've been getting good press, and you still haven't hit break even. So from wearing your producer hat, what keeps you from slashing your wrists? Where's the money going to come from?
Well, so this is some solid respect I have for distributors, because as a filmmaker, you're like, they want to take out all these marketing costs and, gosh, I'm not going to get my money back right away. And, how do I know where all that's accounted for? And if you decide to go independent distribution, roll up your sleeves because you're ready to do a lot of long work, unless you're going to just let it sit and languish and you're not really going to distribute it. So the thing I'd say is that, yes, we give it away sometimes. We give it away where it's important to give it away. And, we want people to know about it. So if, for example, Oshkosh gave us a lot of collateral marketing and support in exchange for that. So we look at that. We look at over the course of that week, we sold about, 450 DVDs. And that was all through the EAA, the Oshkosh stores. So, and they also, we had forums. I was giving forums, and Bob always gives forums. And, we had authors' corners. And so there was a lot of things that we do to show up, to talk about the film and get people aware of the film. So that's just, it's kind of the cost of awareness. I've learned a lot about distribution. I have a solid, tonight I'm going through foreign language translations myself. I've sent them to a company to translate, but guess what? When you do your foreign language international version, if you're the one doing it, like a distributor, they have a department for that. But if you're doing it yourself, you're not a filmmaker for a little while. You're a distributor, and it's fun. It's fun. We know our audience. We love our audience. We feel protective of them. We know where they live. We want to bring this product to them. But there's a lot of things that I've ended up doing that, you see why all these marketing costs come out, and it takes a little while. You have to invest back as you've made the film. Now you don't just go, great, now I'm just going to go make a ton of money of it. You have to advertise. You have to get the word out. You have to travel to places, travel to film festivals. Every film festival we do, we get great reviews, and they go in our press book, and we can publicize those to our fans. But they take money. You have to go, and you have to fly there, and you have to, be there for their forums and talk, and it takes work. I used the analogy the other day, like I'm in the business right now of creating smoke, whether, this is where we're at, this is how it's going. And you just have to keep putting the film out there. We have the advantage because we don't have tons of marketing dollars. Matter of fact, we have very few, but what we can create is it's a longer, slow burn, and you have to stay at it and keep putting yourself out there to your audience.
So it's now a year and a half, 2 years after this film is done. You've completed your 6th film without jumping in front of large moving trucks. Would you hire a distributor for the 6th film?
We would have hired a distributor on this one if we found the right partnership, and we didn't. And so in a heartbeat, yes, I would go with a distributor. I would happily give a large chunk of whatever we make to somebody who's a professional to do it right. And that's mostly because I'm a filmmaker and I'd like to be making films. And, when you decide to do this, just know you're going to be being a distributor for at least a year, in my opinion. This is my opinion, but this is what I've experienced. And, I work hard every day distributing this film. And it's, we're very excited. I mean, the Tug is by the way, if I can talk about that for a second. So Tug is a tremendous tool for filmmakers, independent filmmakers, to get their films distributed in movie theaters. So what we found was, even though we had sold, we've probably sold about 8,000 DVDs at this point. And that's not, in 7 months or 8 months, that's nothing to sneeze at. We really released, I think it was right before Christmas. And, so I guess 8 months, 9 months. We've had a lot of demands for people seeing it in movie theaters. People still equate like, oh, that's a big movie. Wow, I see it at the AMC. Like, I want to get all my friends together and go see that together in a group. Especially as pilots and aviators, it's fun. It's one of those like talk back to the screen movies. It was just fun to watch in a movie theater. So Tug allows you to contact your local AMC at wherever you live. You could type in your zip code, find out what movie theater near you will screen any film which is associated with Tug, in our case, Flying the Feathered Edge. And you can go to the theater, buy your ticket, encourage all your friends to buy their tickets, and then you have a bona fide screening. We sold out our first one in San Diego a couple weeks ago.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. You've released on DVD, so you're getting some income back. But if I remember correctly, you're also screening in New York. Are you thinking of screening in LA and qualifying for an Oscar?
I have made the decision that I'm not going to go for that. And one of the reasons is there's more hoops to jump through than just that. And it's a financial consideration. If I really felt we had a hardcore shot at an Academy Award, I would do it in a heartbeat, because obviously that's what every filmmaker wants, an Academy Award. But I wouldn't waste my money on trying to qualify. It just would be such a long shot. And that's not, denigrating my film at all. It's a wonderful, poetic, gorgeous film with Harrison Ford. It's beautiful. It's got Dick and Burt Rutan, and it's a gorgeous little film. But, what we would have to do, we'd have to book out a theater for a week in New York, a week in LA. We'd have to buy advertising space. I believe it's the LA Times and the New York Times. And it has to be a certain size, it has to run for a certain amount of time. And there's actually companies that do this for you. You can have a company do your qualification. And, at the end of the day, we don't have the money to do a big campaign. I mean, we're staying in our lane. And, we want to reach our fans and the people who are going to really love this film. We're not going to try to convince everyone.
It sounds spectacular. When are you going to get out of producing and go back into directing again?
As soon as I get my investors paid back. That is seriously. I think about it like at night. I stay up and I'm like, I got to get my investors paid back. And that's what motivates me. Truly, it's what keeps me like hitting it hard every day, because, it matters for your next film. It just matters on a personal level with the people who have entrusted you. We didn't raise a tremendous amount of money, but what we did raise, I feel like my job is done when I get them paid back plus $1, and then I can go, okay, great. Now I'm going to go, move on to what I'm doing next. So I still got my teeth sunk in this one.
So for people that want to help you pay off your investors, where can they go on the web to learn more about you and the movie?
That is an excellent question. So please go to see an incredible aviation documentary. You'll never look at an airplane the same way again. TheBobHooverProject.com.
TheBobHooverProject.com. And Kim Furst is the producer, the director. And Kim, thanks for joining us today. We'll keep in touch. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. To stay connected and receive updates from The Buzz, sign up for our free weekly newsletter now. Or you can learn more about us on our website. And thanks for watching. the digital production buzz.